I cannot tell you how many business owners I've talked to, and they're like, how do you fit in lunch? I forget to eat because things get so busy. Maybe it's okay, I'm going to set an alarm for noon and I'm going to actually eat lunch every day at noon. You can kind of think of boundaries like policies in a way, right? You come up with your top 2 or 3 things that are the most important to you that are going to save your time and your energy. If you're not able to stick to those, ask yourself why. Hello, everyone. Welcome to ABA Business Leaders Podcast, brought to you by 3x2. I'm April.
I'm Steven.
Hello, everyone. Today, don't worry, this is an original episode. This is not a rerun of the unsexy episodes. We're recording a couple podcasts today, and we just had to run with it. And so here we are, showing up in the same way. But the good news is we're cute. We're matchy, and we're cute. It was by accident. So if you want to catch us on YouTube and see our cute matchy hat and hoodie, because we're all very professional. I remember the consultant who came to work with us, BCPA, who came to work with us back when we had our agency, and the feedback that she gave us as our employee was that she felt like we were not dressed professionally enough.
That's why I own a business, so I can dress however I want.
Steven's like, I don't want to wear socks, and I want to wear my graphic tees if I want, and my hoodie and my hat. Anyways, funny. Yeah, we all have our own personal things.
Hey, yeah.
Take it or leave it, right? This is who we are. Some days it's mascara and freshly done hair and cute outfit, and some days it's a braids and a hat and a hoodie. And, I think that's just like life, right? Sometimes I get stuck into the I need to be more consistent. I really need to, you know what? Sometimes it's okay to not, schedule an hour to do hair and makeup before a podcast, right? Anyways, I'm glad that you're here today. Thanks for joining us. We really, really, truly appreciate you guys and see all the hard work that you do as a business leader. It's hard work. And so it can be so rewarding though. And it can be so fun. And that's why we're still here, right? Because there are good things about it. I can see you're about to yawn, so I'm going to look away from you so I don't catch your yawn.
I'm out of coffee.
I know, I'm just ill prepared. I have just a tiny bit of water left, so I have to ration it. All right, so here we are, another back to basics episode from our fun series we're doing. I'm really enjoying this series. I think it's really fun, and love how we're really connecting the dots from all stages of growing, starting and growing a business. So our back to basics series is where we go back to the foundations of running an ABA business, whether you're dreaming about starting a company, already running one, or preparing for what's next. We'll meet you where you are. So truly, the earlier that you start working on these foundations or start working with us,
yeah, of course you should be working with us,
the better your chances of success. So honestly, it's the whole early intervention piece, right? In each episode, we're going to focus on one core business topic. And then we'll talk about what that means when you're starting, when you're scaling, when you're transitioning. So no matter where you are in your journey, we hope that you'll walk away with clarity and next steps.
Just want you all to know, if you need help setting up your LLC, tax ID, bookkeeping, HIPAA consultant, web design, logos, business cards, marketing, handbooks, billing, credentialing, even capital now, if you need a loan or something, we help with all of that. So you don't need to go to 5 different places to get help. And you don't need to go to people that have never built an ABA business of their own. You can come to us and we'll help you.
True. And I offer consulting, coaching. I don't know. I call it coaching. Consulting just doesn't match me, I don't think, but it's essentially the same thing. For those of you who may feel overwhelmed and you don't even know where to start, I help you to break it down into some pieces. Also, I've been working with some freaking amazing neurodivergent business owners, and as one myself, I feel like I've really been able to help. And so, because sometimes that's just where we get to, right? Okay, I got my checklist. I got all the things. Okay, I can go to Steven and ask him how to help me with the HIPAA and the billing and the stuff and the things and the that and the this. But I don't even know where to get started on the conversation with Steven. Reach out to me first and we'll figure that out, right?
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say on the podcast itself, we now have 20 CEUs with this podcast. They're absolutely free. So if you would like some free CEUs while you listen to us ramble, just go to 3pisquared.com, go to courses, and you will see the ABA Business Leaders podcast. And you can just sign up for it.
Yeah, and some are previously aired CEUs from a while back. Yep. And then also at the same time, we're also doing our Back to Basics series in real time and adding those in as well. So that's exciting, right? So you can keep up with the current stuff. But then if you want to go back and take a listen to some of the older stuff and get some CEUs from that, then there you go. All right. Today we are going to be talking about a very important foundation that often gets overlooked until it becomes a problem. Boundaries and burnout. Really talking more about the boundaries. The burnout kind of sometimes can become the outcome of perhaps running
with no
boundaries. Burnout can happen for many reasons. We've done many episodes on burnout. Don't worry. I have more burnout specific episodes to come. But today, really going to focus on boundaries. I don't know. What do you think? Okay, so we're going to pretend like we're in the same room here together. And if I say, I just want to ask you, what do you think of when you think of boundaries? You can just tell me. I can hear you. I really can. Yeah. So sometimes it's like setting a rule, saying no,
shutting off your phone,
putting procedures in place of communicating your expectations. But what's important for us to remember that a boundary, sometimes it gets really tricky here. Sometimes we expect a boundary, we think we can put a boundary on someone else, but really a boundary is in our control. We are the one that sets our boundary. So if it's sometimes we might think a boundary is, you better stop talking to me like that. That's against my boundary. But really, truly, what a boundary would be is, what? You're poking me. Don't do it. So really what a boundary would be is, hey, I would really appreciate it if you could use, I don't know, a kinder tone when you're talking to me. If you continue yelling at me in this tone, then I am going to leave the room. So it's you're stating what your action is, not what you're telling the other person to do, but what you are going to do.
Right.
So, and sometimes I think it's easy for us to lose sight of that. Or maybe some of us, in myself, when I first was learning about boundaries, I was really good about putting up some, I was yeah, this is what you have to do. Yeah, no. Boundaries are for us. They're our responsibility. And they're for us to follow through with. And it defines our behavior. So another thing about boundaries is we're also what's the intention behind our boundaries, right? So the intention behind our boundaries could be to create a structure that protects your energy, your time, and your focus, or your values, your definition of quality, all of these things, so that you can show up as the leader that your team needs. Because that's one of the things, right, that no one tells us. That's not in the guidebook to opening your ABA business. Well, it actually is, and a current one that's going to be coming out soon. by this guy. But anyways, yeah, if you didn't know, Stephen wrote a book. It's going to be coming out soon. Can't wait to share that information with you when we can. But what I was trying to say is leaders, like when you become a leader, when you become a business owner, like most of us don't think, okay, now I am a leader. Now it is my responsibility to set the tone for the whole business. It's my responsibility to model healthy work habits. It's my responsibility, right? Maybe we do. Maybe that's why some of us do start our own businesses, so that we can really do more in that. Huh?
It's my way or the highway.
It's my way or the highway. I mean, that's part of it too, I guess. Some people do. Starters, when you're in that new or early stage, it's okay. So we get in a trap kind of easily, right? Because we're wearing all of the hats. We're doing all of the things. And that we kind of get used to that, right? Because in the beginning, sometimes that's what you have to do. You do put in like a sacrifice, like to start a business. Most people, like, unless you come to it with like a nice sum of money and you already start off with like a nice little team helping you build this thing, hey, great. But for those of you who are like single owned, like, clinician owned single, or even like you really have learned about ABA and a BCBA and you bring him in and you all work together to form this, but still you're like the main person doing all the things, starting a small business, right? You're going into it knowing that, hey, you're going to have a year or two of some pretty intense work, some pretty, long hours, and it's like baby. It's like the state, like that's why they call you're growing your business like you're growing raising a baby, right? Because a baby, those newborn stages, you're not gonna get as much sleep, right? Same with a business. And I almost said but both can be true. And it's super important to know your values, to know what your intention is, we'll talk about another episode here this fall about like knowing your definition of quality and how you're going to measure that. It's important for us to build some boundaries from the beginning, like maybe an email boundary or like strict cutoff. And it doesn't have to, maybe some people get up at 3:00 in the morning and do hours of work first thing in the morning, but they want to go to bed early. Maybe some people say, hey, I need to get my work done after the kids go to bed. And so I'm working from 9 to 12 every night, and I need to be able to sleep in a little the next, whatever. I'm not about to say you have to work a specific time frame, right? So whatever it is that works best for you, and, just whatever you decide for those working hours, try to hold yourself to those working hours, because it can be so easy to like one late night email becomes two, and then another, and then another. And before you know it, like, your intention or your boundary is like, I'm turning my computer off at 10 o'clock and I'm hoping to be asleep by 11, or I'm not taking my work into the bedroom, or I'm going to keep my work in my office. And then when I am done working, or at a certain time, I leave my office and leave my work behind, whatever you decide for yourself, right? But sticking to it is the hard part. And so like, maybe it's okay, I'm going to set an alarm for noon and I'm going to actually eat lunch every day at noon. I cannot tell you how many business owners I've talked to, and they're like, how do you fit in lunch? I forget to eat because things get so busy, or I sit down to eat and then I get distracted and move on to something else, and then it's 4:00 and I haven't eaten yet. And I don't think
I've eaten yet.
I think the two of us are guilty of that. I don't think you've eaten. I have been. And the reason I even said that is because it's true to me that I have been I scheduled a noon lunch for myself every day. And I've actually been doing a pretty good job of stopping at noon, and because I'm putting it on my calendar so I don't get booked. And sometimes I'm like, fine, I'll go eat lunch. At the beginning, I like really bucked to the system. I was like, well, I'm not hungry yet. I'm not going to eat lunch. Who says I have to eat lunch at noon? And I was like, well, you did. And then I'm like, oh yeah. And then I'm like, why do I put my lunch in at noon? Oh yeah. Cause then I'm going to like crash and burn at 2:00. Yeah. Anyways, he did say going into this, he said, this one's all you do the talking and I'll just add some pieces on here and there. To be fair, the last episode was mostly all him, and I added a few pieces in.
And
So
can I say something?
you can say anything that you want to, because this is like our podcast. So whatever you want to say.
I just like it. It seems like, and I don't believe that you're trying to, but it does seem like it's like, well, if you're emailing after 10 or if you're doing all these things, you're a bad person. And that's, I know.
I don't mean that, people.
I know. And so all I would say is that if sometimes they're going to be busy, sometimes they're going to be crazy, and you should have boundaries, and you should give yourself some grace.
100%. And I'm getting to that. Okay. I'm just rambling my way there. But no, seriously, I'm just trying to give some examples to make it a little bit more concrete. But right. It's like, I don't know. I think of it as a meditation practice. When I say that, I'm like, I feel like I need a disclaimer. I am not any kind of like major, like, a practitioner of, meditation. I dabble in it, right? But the thing that I have learned from learning about meditation and having a mindfulness practice is like when your attention goes away, you just bring it right back. It goes away, you bring it right back, right? And so that's like you go off into worry about, oh, I forgot to do this. I have to do the laundry. I have to switch over the laundry. I have to call that insurance. I have to call that parent. I have to do this. And then be like, oh, I'm bringing it back to like, what's my intention right now, right?
In a non-judgmental
way. Absolutely.
And if there is judgment, that is welcome too.
That is welcome too.
Yes.
And because really it's not failure, it's all feedback, right? It's just feedback, and it's just data that something needs recalibrating. If you're like recognizing that, okay, I set these boundaries. I said I'm not going to check email after, and I'm just like I said a few minutes ago. I'm not telling you, I'm not dictating your time. You choose your times. You choose your things that you feel like you want to set boundaries to, and it might be something that you might be setting that boundary because you have a really hard time cutting off email at a certain time, right?
I will say now, like even texting, I think on the latest iPhone update, you can schedule all of this now. Right. So you can write the email, have everything ready, and then just hit schedule for 9 a.m. So you're not interfering with someone else's boundary. Right?
Yeah,
or if you've set up boundaries, you can say, well, in secret, I'm going to do this, but I will at least make it seem like I'm going to, those boundaries are still set. Well, and same with text messages.
Because we have to make those decisions in the moment too, right? And like sometimes getting that text out to get it out of our brain while you're thinking about it is the right thing for you in that moment. But like you said, that's really cool if I didn't know you could schedule text, but
pretty sure you can.
So that would be a cool thing because you could get it out of your mind and get it out, and then know that it's going to go out to them at a later time.
Yeah, send later.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that.
And using that send later.
Yeah.
If you've like, you send the reaction.
Oh yeah, that's true. Then you have a minute
to put it on the send later.
Pause.
Then you can say, wait, oh, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have used all of those F-bombs in that text message.
Right, that's true. And then you can unsend or whatever, or not send later.
Not send it, yeah.
I think too, like things that we have to look at. So, I mean, there again, like all these podcasts, this is just like a surface level. I think this is why it's so hard for me. And I'm being a little rambly is because it's such a surface. I'm only able to talk about the surface level of this. I really can't go into all the details because we would be here for hours. And if you want to go into the more details with me about your specific situations, hey, reach out to me. I'd love to. I love having these conversations. But you can base it off your boundaries. You can base it off your pillars of your basic needs, right? So let's say you've like, okay, I'm just going to say, instead of like throwing this out to just random, I'm going to say me right now. My issue is I'm not getting enough sleep. And I had set a boundary for myself, I don't know, a couple months ago, the beginning, like September, that I'm docking my phone in my closet with the end goal of docking my phone in my office, which is down the hall. But that was too far. I needed a baby step. So I'm docking my phone in my closet at a certain time before I start evening routine with my child so that I can be present with my child in that moment of routine. Because then if I start answering work emails or get sucked into social media, which most of the social media is work social media, then I'm not as present for my child, and I'm not as kind, and I'm not the mom I want to be, and I'm not the wife I want to be for my evening time persona, right? Because we wear all these many hats. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to be in bed myself by 9 o'clock and go to sleep, not listening, like watching screens, not really train myself just to really, because I notice if I'm still, just like I tell my kid, if you could just lay there for like, once you're still, you're going to fall asleep. And it's true for me too. So when I was laying there with my child and we're both like still together, like we fall asleep really quick, right? I'm sure some of you who like need to go in on occasion and lay down with your kid to help them rest and go to sleep, you probably find you're waking up a couple of hours later in their bed also. I've heard so many of those stories. But anyways, I started that for, I don't know, I was pretty consistent for a few days, maybe almost 2 weeks, maybe something like that. And I really felt like a new woman. I felt like, wow, like the sleep thing is really real. Like
so that's what the problem is.
Yeah, that's what the problem is. Okay. So the sleep thing is really real.
Hide your phone.
And so I was thinking, right, like even like not having, I don't know, I don't understand all about EMF and all that stuff, but apparently even just having like all your devices on your nightstand, even if you're not using them, could apparently maybe like affect your sleep. I don't know. Anyways, so that's the plan. But guess what? One night I'm like, oh, just this night I'm gonna like look at my phone, or you know what I mean? You guys have been there too, I'm sure. But then before I knew it, I was like back to full force, devices on my nightstand, scrolling. We are also in October spooky season, and we have like a whole spooky yard in our front yard, and we have neighbors and community people coming to our front yard. And this is our child's, like Ann Stevens, like joyous season of Halloween. And so we are not getting in bed before 9 o'clock. We are lucky to get in bed before 10 o'clock. And so my bedtime boundary, my screen time boundary, my device boundary, all of those started like falling away. And then now I'm like averaging like 4 and 5 hours of sleep a night here for a couple of weeks now. And I'm like wondering what's wrong with me. And then like, why am I feeling this way? Right? Why can't I put my sentences together? Why can't I feel emotional steady? You know, I really feel like, just let me know, like call our hotline and tell me your story. Let me know I'm not alone, because I don't think I'm alone in this. And this is has turned more personal than work, but I think like so much of this is intertwined, right? We can also find this stuff with work where, you know, we set like, okay, if our staff come to us to ask about, a certain policy, and it's one that gets asked over and over and over, I'm going to learn, okay, you go to our handbook on page 3, second paragraph, right? Mm-hmm. And then when they come to you with this question, you're like, oh, that's a great question. Go pull up your handbook, page 3, second paragraph, and get back to me if you have further questions about it, right? And like setting that boundary. But then like you start to say, oh, actually, you start to answer the question. And then before you know it, like you're back into like wasting, I don't know how many minutes of your day, like in conversation about this like frequently asked question that you set up a routine for, so that somebody could come, so that you could like wipe that off your plate. You know, I don't know. Anyways, our hotline, by the way, 737-330-1448, and press or choose option 1. I would love to know, like, if you have any of these boundary stories, if you have a specific boundary that, and I feel like even like those like nighttime, like turn your screen off kind of thing is also rolls into a work boundary, because if you're not sleeping, then you're not really maybe doing your best job as a leader, right? So reflection prompt for section 1, for the starters are, where have I been saying yes out of habit instead of alignment? Not something I didn't even get to a minute, but like saying no versus saying yes. Like, you know, like sometimes we can be yes people. Yes, I can get to that. Someone asks you to do something. Yes, I can do that. I was talking to a business owner the other day, and she's getting really great like feedback request from her new staff. Like she's hired, you know, and they're like, oh, and she's like, oh, let's all like build and grow together, right? but her staff's coming to her with some really great ideas, but like, we know we can't incorporate all these new ideas all at once. And so she was saying yes to all these great ideas. And then she was feeling pressure and feeling guilt that she wasn't like actually following through with any of them. Right. And then some of her staff were getting a little frustrated with her that she wasn't.
Yep.
So, sometimes saying, oh, that's a great idea. Like, send me an email so that I can keep track of that, or being like transparent. Like, these are all really great ideas. I would love for you guys to send them to me, and I'll keep them in a spot. And when I'm at a point that, we can add some new things or switch things, I will take your feedback into suggestion or something like that.
Or bring them on as part of the owner of the thing.
Yeah.
If it's like an easy task and they're wanting to grow within this company, see if how far they can take it. Right.
Give them one project.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then also, like, it's being okay to say no. And that's another thing that's really good about understanding your value and understanding your intention and what your goal is at that moment of that stage of growth. Because if right now your things are just getting all the policies and the procedures and things lined up, it's okay to say no. But it's like the same thing it's yourself. Sometimes it's like yourself being able to say yes or no and the right thing, but being able to ask yourself, what's the intention right now? What's the value? What's the goal right now? And so it can be like a no for now, and let's revisit that later. Right. All right. So, practical tip, do a scan of your week and look for one place where your boundary has drifted. Maybe it's like skipping lunch, checking messages after hours, taking on one more client. That's another thing that can be really tricky, that we might not think of as a boundary, but it could very much be so. It's like client, caseload. It's so hard, guys. You get that call from the family, they're really struggling and having a hard time, and you really want to help, especially if you're a startup. If you're like, oh, I'm not quite ready to take Anthem cases yet, but I don't want to miss out on this opportunity, or I want to be able to help this family. And of course you can communicate and you can have wait lists and stuff like that. But sometimes I think that if we have a boundary of what are we going to do, how are we going to accept our first 10 clients, or how many clients are we going to accept? Like, what's our first benchmark? And then once we get to X amount of clients, then we're going to pause for a minute and we're going to recalibrate. We're going to, ask ourselves a few questions to see, okay, are we ready? Do we have what is necessary to move forward to get another 5 clients?
Well,
right?
Who are your clients too, right? Because if somebody calls you up and says, look, we've been on 5 wait lists for the last 3 years and we need help, and you're like, oh, well, this is kind of outside of my scope, or that I don't normally work with this age, or this diagnosis, right? This co-diagnosis. And then you just start taking cases on that maybe don't fit your experience.
Right. Or sometimes, right, like if you're in home and you really feel like this learner would be better served in a clinic setting where you have more support for your staff or for this individual, right? But you're feeling really bad because you're like, well, we're going to eventually have a clinic, but we're still in home. Maybe I could take them. That's like, these are all like boundaries. Yeah. And I guess what I'm trying to say too is at the end of the day, it falls on you. And so it's easier. It's never easy, but it does simplify things a bit if you know where you stand and you know where your boundaries are, and they're based off of your values and what your intention, like your why, like why you're doing this. We have another podcast I'm writing right now, really going into like your why, that I'm very excited about. So I would love to hear your why, if you want to leave it on the hotline. Yeah.
I think that this would be very similar. I hear often, I left this company because of this reason, that reason. It made me feel uncomfortable. I felt like it was unethical, blah, blah, blah. And not knowing your boundaries could be part of the reason why we also then hear, I left that company 2 years later, I now own the exact same company.
Yeah.
Right. And so not having those limits, those boundaries, can ultimately end up putting you in a position where it's your name on the door in the same position, right?
Totally. Yeah. And I think that's too, I'm glad you kind of pointed out earlier, you're like, that there's no shame here, right? There's no, like, I'm not judging you. What I'm trying to say here in all of this is I get it. Like, starting a company is hard work. Starting an ABA company is a different kind of hard work, you know? And switching gears, not even just switching gears. Sometimes you have to hold both at the same time, right? From clinician to business owner. Yes, you're a leader in a lot of positions as a BCBA, as a behavior analyst, as a supervisor in a company. There is a leader. That is, in a lot of ways, a leadership role, but it's a different level of leadership role when you are the leader, right? And so you have to make your policies and procedures. And even though those are two words, policies and procedures are expansive and huge and encompass so many things and so much communication and so much explanation of expectations, so many legal things that you just have to have in there because you have to have in there. You have all of the things that we just talked about in this just an hour ago, the Unsexy podcast of all the forms you have to fill out and the numbers you have to get and the registrations you have to do and all of just the paperwork piece and all of the like kind of more boring stuff. And then you're hiring staff, perhaps even if it's just a couple staff, right? Or you're even trying to like figure out your own self of, okay, what part of my work day is clinical? What part of my day is administrative business leader stuff, right? Like it's a lot. It's a lot of pivoting. It's a lot of unknowns, and you're not going to know all the answers going into it. And even when you set like your values and your intentions and like what you want, like you're setting, like visiting your why, it doesn't mean that it's going to stick from day one. And you may do that first couple of years. You're also going to have a lot of opportunities for growth and to maybe recognize, okay, I'm going to have to shift this a little bit. You know, maybe this part is not as easily attainable as I thought. How can I adjust this so it still matches my values and still matches how I want to show up? Right. And so the boundary, like looking at it as boundaries, just kind of makes it a little bit more concrete of a tool, I believe. So those of you, as you're going into, like those of you who are growers and you've already graduated those first 2 to 3 years of owning your business, and you're like, whew, what we find a lot of times is that, and we talk about this often, is that same like mentality that you had for those first few years, you find yourself bringing those like just as your new norm into subsequent years. But there is like that, what you think it's like year three-ish, that people start to like burn out or whatever that might look like for them.
Yeah, I think,
but not everybody. And like these podcasts, like that, like take what's helpful and leave what isn't. I know, and not everyone's exactly the same.
Yeah. Take what works and throw out the rest.
Yeah.
I think again, it does depend. If you're naturally a boundary setter, I think that you're going to have less burnout, right? And I think also most, and I may be generalizing here, but it's kind of true, I think, is most BCBAs are natural helpers. They just want to help everybody that they can. And so they're more likely to take on more cases than maybe they should, especially when they're in this leadership position, right? And that brings on a lot of stress, and it really does make it difficult to set boundaries.
Well, and two, as your business grows, like boundaries stop being as personal and more operational. So when you have your first few hires, right? You know them well. You're the one training them. And even if like something's not really fully developed yet within like your systems, right? You see these people on a regular day to day, and you probably are doing a really good job communicating those expectations, like verbally, and being able to talk back and forth and check in with them, and, you know, maybe even hold your boundaries and, you know, respect some of their boundaries and all the things, right? But as you start to get more employees and you are not the one that's getting all the FaceTime with them, or you're just, you're still the one getting FaceTime with them, but you have more employees now, so you're getting less FaceTime with each person. Then it switches into like that more operational. There is like a shift that happens. I don't know the magic number, and maybe there's not a magic number. It just depends on the organization, but there is like a shift, right? Those first few employees, and it's like almost like family. Yeah. It's a startup. Yeah. They all kind of feel, you know, maybe a little more casual, or I don't, you know.
They just see the shit, right?
Yeah.
They've lived it. One thing just I might add here, is a good thing to start off with that I guess is kind of a boundary, is don't have all the emails going to your email address. You really should set up like schedules at my company email.
Even if you're the one checking all the emails.
At my company email, right? Complaints at my company email. So that as you grow, they don't, I mean, maybe it is you responding right now, but it's not so difficult to transfer to somebody else to take on those responsibilities later, because they just know I always send it to schedules, I always send it to billing, I always send it to right. So like having those things can really help as you scale.
That is a really good helpful tip for sure. So yeah, I mean, there's just, as you grow, there's more responsibilities, and it just there's more opportunity for things to get a little bit messy, and so you could say that, like, think about, I don't know if I really fully agree. I don't know. I'm just going to say it, take it or leave it. But you can kind of think of boundaries like policies in a way, right? Like maybe for some of your work boundaries, like you come up with your top 2 or 3 things that are the most important to you, that are going to save your time and your energy. And you really, really focus on sticking to those. And then if you're not able to stick to those, you know, ask yourself why, like what's going on. Maybe this isn't the right boundary for me yet, or maybe I need to adjust this boundary. Or maybe this boundary is perfect, but I just need some more support in being able to hold it. What patterns of exhaustion or frustration are giving me information about a system that needs to change?
Yeah, if you find yourself repeating yourself over and over again, or getting annoyed or cynical.
And I think that's where I was going when I said like the handbook thing, right? If someone's coming to you and asking the same question about the same policy, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to start responding with, you know, please go visit your handbook on page whatever, and then come back with me if you have questions. And I think that I didn't say that piece, but that's exactly why, is right, because you're like, oh my gosh, if someone asked me how to submit my
vacation time
again, then like, seriously, people, don't you ever read your handbook? When something like that comes out of your mouth, and like you've probably crossed your own boundary somewhere, right? I mean, maybe, right? Something to ask yourself. So strong systems can create space for rest, and that same structure that you can use to grow your company can help to grow your energy. I was working with a startup BCBA over this past year, and she had that hustle culture, and it really push, got to get all the things done. And then after we had some sessions together and chatted and like kind of worked through this, I started seeing her post about hiking and like going on a date with her partner and going on a weekend vacation. And I saw like a really major shift, and I like reached out to her about it. I was like, hey, like, how are things going? Things must have really settled, you know, like you must be in a really great spot. And she's like, no, but you know, she's like, with your help and with a lot of the work that she's done on her own, right? Like to really work through like how she wants to show up as a leader. She just decided that it's important for her to take this time no matter what. Right. So, all right. So, you know, I kind of struggle with this last segment of going into talking about boundaries as far as for those leaders who are in transition out or closing, because I feel like that could easily be another time where things have like heightened again. I would think, especially like maybe if you've come down to, I really want to sell now, I'm done, I'm ready. And then you find out that you aren't ready because there's a lot of work that you need to do. And you're like, crap, I'm going to have to pour in like another couple of years into this business and really ramp it up to be able to get what I need from it. And because perhaps didn't do some of the systems in the beginning. You know, it is what it is, but it kind of stinks.
Just if you need evaluation on your business to know where you're at and where you want to go, reach out, please. We are working with people that can help with these valuations, and it's really important before you get to this point, because so you're not here. Because if you do have that, what do you call it?
Cellulite. It sounds like a skin disease. It sounds like a skin disease, but no.
Anyways, if you get that and then you realize that, oh God, I got to do this for another 3 years and I have to do rapid growth at the same time if I want to get it done in 3 years, that's going to be a real kick in the gut. Right.
But I think that's also too, like where the boundaries come in, right? Because if you get to that point where maybe, you know, your boundaries have fallen off, you're like kind of you're getting a little bit lax here, or
I'm getting a little bit lax here.
You're ready to like be done, right? A lot of, because I mean, let's face it, honestly, the most people that I hear from that are ready to be done is because they've hit some like threshold and they're like, done, peace out. Yeah. I can't do this anymore. Yeah. Something was like the final straw, right? And for us, it was COVID. For me, it was COVID. And then like the employment like turnover and couldn't hire people after that was the last straw for me. But that wasn't the reason. Right. It was multiple things leading up to that place. And a lot of the business owners that I talk to who are ready to sell, they're ready, they're done. Like, and once you make that decision, it's hard to like hold on. Because it's like you want to be able to like be done and move on to the next thing. And there's all these other emotions of not wanting to be done. So there's that too. But so if you're preparing to step back, sell, transition, boundaries, I don't know. How do boundaries become your biggest asset at this point? How do they show up?
I mean, like, I can tell you one boundary you want is don't tell your staff that you're selling.
That is true. We learned that one kind of a hard way, but yeah.
Everybody told us not to do that.
Yeah, so I guess it would be like trying to figure out what your boundaries are they're again protecting your energy, protecting your time. Yeah. Maybe setting a boundary for yourself of like, how perfect do I need to get this company before I can switch it over to someone else? I think
it's also a good boundary is the selling process itself. So like, you know, you may, again, depending on the situation your company is in and how much of the day-to-day operation, how much of the day-to-day operation are you actually doing? This company that purchases your company may want you to stay on for a certain amount of time. So even setting that, so knowing I'm willing to stay on for 3 months, I'm willing to stay on for 6 months, I'm willing to stay on until this person gets credentialed, or like something like that, it's going to probably be a good idea to have in the back of your mind how long you're willing to stay on.
Well, I wonder too, like kind of hitting back on the valuation piece, right? Like I think it's fair to say that most business owners have like this magic number in their head that they think they're going to be able to sell their company for.
I don't think that's true.
You don't think it's true?
I think that
they hope that they can go for?
Yeah, I think many of them are assuming like they're like.
Well, what I'm saying is like if you get a valuation, if you're like figure out like how much are companies worth, because that's what a valuation is. You're finding out what essentially what you could sell it for, like what would be the going rate. Then it can help you to know, hey, maybe I'm there already. I'm there sooner than I thought. Or, I fall in that category of I need to do a few more years of work to get there.
I think most of the people that I've talked to that are like, they're considering selling it is that they're assuming that they're going to get a lot more for it than they are.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
And so, I think it's kind of like
they have like a magic number they think they're going to get. And there might be like far from that number.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like your house, right? Like, oh, well, look at these beautiful walls and, all of these
we
things.
put in new windows and a new deck, and really those don't add up to what you think they're going to.
Yeah, so I just, it's really, when you're here, when you're getting ready to do it, and before you say F it, right? Having that valuation so you can plan this out, I think is really important. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. I hope you guys were able to take something from this conversation. And if nothing else, I hope you feel less alone. Because you don't have to do this alone.
No, you don't. Yeah, we're definitely here.
And I say all the time, and I'm curious to know, like, how many people actually do this, so, like, reach out to the other, like, BCBAs or business owners in their community, in their state, right? And, how can we help each other? Even if it's like, hey, let's all meet up for happy hour or meet up for a coffee and just, like, chat more generally, Anyways, so, for those closers, a reflection prompt. If I handed my role to someone else tomorrow, would they inherit a sustainable rhythm or a pattern of burnout? That would be, I think that reflection prompt might be even good for those, like, in business currently, like, because that gives you, like, a good little moniker.
I mean, the
for
closers
yourself.
are still in business.
No, they are, but, like, earlier on in closing, like, if
I hope that everyone that is considering closing realizes this isn't 3 weeks, right? Like, this is,
you're talking about months and years of a process.
Yeah, at minimum, you're talking probably 8 months. Yeah.
All right, guys. So you do not have to, like, fix all of this at once. You don't have to go in and, like, set all your boundaries and I'm going to, this is just one little intentional reset at a time. Focus on one little thing, right? Just like our learners, just like we do in our plans, right? We can't get to the outcome like that. We have to break it down into little attainable steps.
You can run.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate your taking your time to show up and to listen. And we're here, like I said, we're here for you. I feel like we said all of it at the beginning, all the things that we're here to help you with. And if you're not sure if it's something we can help you with, reach out to us and
sign up for a free consult.
Yeah.
And if you can, I'd really appreciate just sharing your favorite episode with your colleagues on LinkedIn or Facebook. That really helps us. If you find these are helpful, I'd really appreciate that. And
I'm looking forward to your call.
Yeah.
To our hotline. I'll give you that number one more time. 737-330-1448. And then press option 1. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to see you again next week.
Toodles.